Hey guys, and welcome back to the 25th episode of the Untold Gems podcast. Now, we forgot to hit record for the first 30 seconds, but this is a fire episode with Anthony Mancini, so enjoy.
Employed there. I also, thanks to you, Chris, Sasha, and honestly, thanks to Charl for introducing me to that world. I'm all in on Amazon FBA. I'm also a real estate investor, and I also got a big stock portfolio. So I really just love money, man. Love making money. That's really my passion. Like, what do? I'm a director at the SAQ. That's what my work is. But I'm just trying to be the best version of myself. Like that's all I am. What I am is I don't do parties. I don't do nothing like that, man. I just try to surround myself with people. I haven't done a great job of it, honestly. Thanks to your podcast, thanks to a lot of podcasts, that's what helps me. So yeah, man, I think that's the best way to introduce myself in terms of what I do is I just try to better myself. And ultimately, my passion is making money and finding ways to make money. And you guys really just introduced me to that world. So when I saw Sasha tweet out that you guys were looking for guests, I was like, man, it's a great way to jump in. I've done so many things in my life, in my past that I failed at, that I learned from, that I believe really helped me jumpstart. Example, my like Amazon business. It's all those little failures that you learn from, they add up, and you never know when it's gonna come back and really help you in the future.
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes, man, you wake up and you're just like, and that's happened to me a couple of months ago and all that. You're just like, wow, like all those little things that I thought were failures, it's like that really helped me today and really helped me push forward.
Damn, I love it.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is that when we had this conversation, shout to Raj, like maybe 6-7 months ago, we made the podcast to talk to people like you. Like our goal was to have these types of conversation, and it's crazy that 6 months later it's actually going forward, and I'm glad that you were able to get value from it. And like we go way back, but it's nice to see that regardless of where you've been, what you've been doing, is that you're constantly trying to be the best version of yourself. And for us, that's legit what we're trying to do, and trying to build a community around those type of people.
Oh man, it's mad respect. Seriously, you guys are doing a great thing with this. Like, I'm always like a big pusher. Like, you got to see into the future, and I know, Charl, you're all about that, right? Like, every step is calculated. And doing this, it's like it's just planting a seed that just grows. Same thing with Sasha, with you, with your YouTube channel. Like, I got mad respect for that. Like, I attempted it. I'd like to think I did a good job at it, but like I burnt out because when I go into something, I go in all out, and you need to put in work.
Yeah, for sure.
Like editing and everything, man, you got to put in work. So like, mad respect to you guys.
I appreciate
YouTube
it.
is tough. Like, I'm trying to do it too now, and it's true. Like, there's so much work that goes into YouTube. It's crazy. So you had a YouTube channel?
I had a YouTube channel. I tried, honestly, like 5 weeks in, like I burnt out with work because like SAQ, being a director, the SAQ is no joke. Like my store is 8 million per year. Like for me, it's I'm not spending any money, right? I'm just controlling the company's money. But at the end of the day, it was like a way to jumpstart like being an entrepreneur without taking any risk. Also means you don't get the reward. So that's also, we could touch on whatever in the future. But like you work, and then it's capped. And that's what I think. Again, I keep shouting you guys out, but it's the truth. Like I see that like what you guys are doing is great. That's where I want to get there one day, because when you're capped, like, I got a raise this year, 4%. I was like, interest rates are not interest, inflation's like at 7-8. Like I'm taking a 4% loss, and everyone around me is super happy. Like, oh, we got a 4% raise. It's like, no, that's not how it should work, man.
Well, tell us a little bit about like how, like, tell us kind of the beginning of like I want to know the entrepreneur side of things. Like, what made you start wanting to do YouTube when you first started doing it? Like, what kind of got you into, or like, what's the first thing that you did that kind of helped you get into entrepreneurship?
I'd say that, like, just to quickly touch, like, all my childhood, if you wish, like my teenage years, high school, I was a big football player. Like, I loved it. It was my passion. It was that and money. Like I was at school, like in high school, selling like Coke, Gatorades, and all that for $2-3. It was always part of my passion shared with football. And unfortunately, with football, I got career-ending. Well, not necessarily career-ending injury, but injuries that I needed surgery with. And at 16, I was like, I as much as I love it, I can't go forward with that. So now I had two passions. I had my football and making money, and it allowed me to just jump into making money. And I've always been obsessed with not necessarily having money, because having a lot of money doesn't necessarily give me satisfaction. It's more about like the processes of how to create money and how to create wealth for yourself and be sustainable. So, you know, right when I stopped that, I was in marketing, a marketing program with Charl and Vanier. I started a social media marketing agency. Honestly, most of the things I learned was from YouTube. YouTube has been a great resource.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like, and sometimes this is where I go with failures, because you jump on trends and sometimes they're not necessarily as easy as the gurus make it seem.
Yeah.
You know, so I started a social media marketing agency near the end of my college education. You know, I got a client. I was 16 years old. It was a pépinière, like a plant nursery. They were paying me $400 a month to do Facebook ads with them.
Wow.
Yeah, and but I was working, always doing so many things at the same time. I've been working since a very young age, and again, things just fell off. Wasn't necessarily motivated. I was still young at the time.
Yeah.
So if you wish, that was my first failure, and that failure was not like something that I did wrong, because it was working. I was making $400 a month through one client.
Yeah, that's crazy at 16 years old. Like, I don't know anyone that was doing something like that at 16 years old, you know?
That's it. And it was more of that like naiveness of taking what I had in front of me and taking it for granted. And then, so eventually my motivation ran out. And that's also something like, for sure, it's a little bit ADHD or whatever you want to call it. I'm everywhere. I'm trying to go on to the next thing. I always wanted to get rich quick, if you wish, when I was young. So that was also another mistake. So I went into SMMA, so a social media marketing agency, invested in Bitcoin in 2016 when it was like at $4,000. And yeah, I spent like, I put $2,000-$3,000 into it. But again, always trying to get rich quick. I don't know if you guys heard of BitConnect.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was one of those.
Oh no!
Wait! What is this?
Yeah,
explain
so
quickly what BitConnect.
Quickly. BitConnect was a website that was popular on YouTube through like the crypto world. But again, before what it was today, like crypto was at $4,000, and it was gaining in popularity. And BitConnect basically said, deposit your money with us, and we trade on mass volume. And like guys are gonna see red flags everywhere. I know this is I'm embarrassed about this, but I'm young, right?
Secured.
Yeah, right. So basically, you put in your money, and I forget the exact details, but it was locked in for like a 3-month period, and they would give you 1% on that money every single day.
Okay.
And
so
then there was
exactly
compound. So you were able to reinvest 1% per day, and if you guys do that math, like it's crazy. Like it goes way too high really quick. And the worst part about it is I made all my money back. But what happens when you just get easy money like that is I made all my money back, and I went, you know what? I could take this money, put it back in, and I'm gonna make double what I was making. So I did that for a while, and I made quite a bit of money. But unfortunately, all of it was stuck into BitConnect until one day they pulled the rug, and I lost it all.
No.
Now, it wasn't honestly, like at that age, it was something, you know, like it was like maybe like $6,000-$7,000. Now it's like, again, lesson learned. There's no easy money out there. Like that's just way too easy. And certainly now with like how crypto has exploded, we saw a lot of this like rug pulling and all that. And it allows me at this age now, at 25 years old, to see like I'm not even gonna indulge myself in that. Like I'll invest in crypto in general. I do believe the future and the technology of that. I think we're still far away from its full potential. So I have a small percentage of my portfolio in that, but and at the end of the day, the lesson learned for BitConnect is there's no easy money out there.
Yeah.
After BitConnect, like I actually got into Amazon private label really early. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, I want to say 2017, maybe 2016, 2017. There's this guy named Tanner J. Fox on YouTube. And he was like, he has videos with Graham Stephan, like all the big YouTubers like that. He was really big back then, and he was just pushing it. I went into business with my cousin. We ended up making a product. We sourced it from China. Everything that we know from Amazon FBA private label now.
Yeah.
I did it in the U.S. market. But again, when you're like, I don't even think I was 18. I think he was 18 at the time, and I was 17. And we put $1,000 each, which we all know here it's not going to really get you much anywhere with $2,000 total in that. But we launched our product. It was actually, I don't know if you guys remember, it was a little bit of a fad. It was an inflatable like beach sofa that you're able to like open up and go with the waves. Anyways, we caught the trend as it was going, And to be honest, with $2,000, we broke even at the end. But what happened is that these big whales caught the trend. They spent all kinds of money, $10, $20, $30,000 on PPC campaigns, and our ranking just plummeted. And to be honest, again, at 17 years old, and I went into business with family. Like sometimes that's the lesson I learned there is don't mix family with business, because sometimes, like, again, I love my cousin, the guy I went into business with, but it's when you're not at the same level and the same passion for it, sometimes it creates frustration.
And, for sure.
Yeah, and like, again, we still, he's my best friend. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's a lesson that I learned. And that's the first time Amazon selling on Amazon came into my my realm. And again, lesson learned that I learned about PPC campaigns. When I did social media marketing, I learned about the marketing aspect. So slowly but surely, I'm stacking lessons throughout my life. After that, I jumped into dropshipping, right? It's the next step. It's still popular on YouTube. That I would say was probably my biggest flop. And that's when, well, we didn't invest too much money. Again, went into business with another one of my best friends, who's not family, but in terms of friends, he's a genius, still is today. And I thought, like, us two, we're going to be able to make this work. But again, he was like heavy into school at the time. I was more into let's make money. At the same time, I wasn't at the level I needed to be to make something like dropshipping work, and all the product research that goes behind it, and all the marketing that you need to do.
What kind of dropshipping was it? Like with Shopify?
Shopify dropshipping. We had a gaming website. Honestly, like I said, that was the biggest flop. But that was more like again, lesson learned, if you wish. From there was that, like, okay, like if you want to make money online, like you want to take e-commerce, like not only does it take money for PPC and Facebook ads, and now if you want TikTok ads and all that, but it also takes a lot of time and the research that goes behind it.
Oh, for sure.
And again, at that young age, again, from like 16 to 20 years old, like all these things are coming, and it's that ambition was still there. I had that fire, and I still do in my heart right now, like, and today. But like, of just like, okay, like, let's get on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one.
So basically,
never get done.
Everything. You've done a little bit of everything.
Again, I think so. I think so. There's not much I didn't do, and throughout that, like, I have an eye, and everything I watch now is development. Like, there's little things, right? Like House of Dragon, I'll watch with my girlfriend, but like everything else is all YouTube education. Whether it's on working out, losing weight. I lost 100 pounds. I was 280 pounds. I lost 100 pounds.
Yeah, we need to talk about that after.
Like all those things, that's all through consumption of media that is positively reinforcing my life.
Yeah.
Like that was also a huge thing. And all throughout, like my from 16 to where I am now at 25 is all that, like, compounding of information that I see and look and learn. Audiobooks, YouTube, podcasts. Like I have a podcast for basically everything.
I was gonna say you should try having a podcast. Like,
well, one day, and that is in the future, right? Like, I think like after dropshipping, I really took it slow, and I went like, okay, there's no getting rich quick. Let's just take things slow and get rich slow. And that's when I really got into, like, let me invest in the stock market long term. I did a little bit of like day trading and swing trading, and it worked really well, but it was getting a lot of in the way of my career in the SAQ. So I had to notch it down, but it was really get rich slow with stock market, like VFV, which is my S&P, like Canadian version of the S&P 500. Like I know, Charl, you're big on like picking individual stocks, and I have 2 or 3 individual stocks, but it was really on like, let me put a lot of money. My paychecks when I was starting as an employee, like SAQ plays pretty good for like a 18 to 20-year-old. When I was a part-time employee, I was getting paid $22 an hour. And after CJEP, I went, you know what? I got 2 choices. I can go to university, or I can take the path of the SAQ, and I know the path to become a director. And the SAQ basically told me, like, if you want to become a director, you basically need to go to university and get a bachelor's. And I said, but do I have to? And they were like, technically no, but it's highly recommended. And all I needed to hear was technically no. So I went in, I worked full-time at the SAQ, and I just worked my ass off, making $22 an hour and taking probably 80% of my paycheck, putting it into my TFSA.
That's amazing.
And again, at that point, I was less on the entrepreneurial journey that I had when I was younger. I was I got a little bit slapped in the face of failure after failure after failure after failure. So I went all in. I killed my competition. It was really again, that fire in the heart, in which I believe makes me, catapulted my Amazon, if you wish. And I'm not done. I really want to go further, and you guys all motivate me for that. But it was, let's just go in every single day and work. And I did that for 4 years, went into the interview, became the youngest director of the SAQ.
Damn.
Salary now, again, and to be honest, it's nothing for me. My goal is so much higher, but at 25 years old, $35 an hour, all kinds of insurance, all the benefits in the world, the safety blanket, if you wish, of being able to retire after 35 years at the SAQ. So I'd be able to retire at 54, but now that's not what I want. Right? It's about okay, how can I min-max how can I work at work, but also do so much to build something that will scale to eventually be able to escape.
Yeah.
And so I built up, maxed my FSA, built a bunch of liquidity. I just purchased a 5-plex in Montreal, an area in Montreal called Terrebonne, which is not on the main island, but still a very nice property next to all kinds of business, very strategically placed. We're going to live there, me and my girlfriend, next year. So that's the move. That I wanted to live there for 3 to 5 years, build more liquidity to eventually move out and have that as a 100% rental property. And then I ran into Charl not that long ago, and if you want, life changed again. He told me about Amazon FBA, and the first thing that came into my mind when he told me Amazon FBA was I did that. I did that. I guess it works, but I entertain every thought. I try to, even I said YouTube's the one of the best education tools for me, and I look at the bull case and the bear case, and I make my own opinion of it. And when he was telling me, oh no, it's about reselling, and I was like, okay. He planted a seed in my head. I was really excited. I went and learned more. Chris, I ended up getting your course, and I was like, okay, it was a great crash course. I'm going all in. I went to meet my girlfriend the next day, and my girlfriend, I love her so much. She believes in me. She's not in the entrepreneurial area at all, but we basically, when we bought that 5-plex, we're not married, but we're gonna I've been with her for 6 years. We're gonna get married soon. We binded our accounts, and I control all the money. Right. So, and she saved a lot of money since she was always a saver, not necessarily an investor, but she had good money. I had a lot of money. So now it's okay, I took control of a whole, a really big liquid fund, and I'm steering the ship. And these past 3 months, it's almost been 3 months that I've been doing the Amazon FBA, but I've been taking it slow with a lot of future plans, and I see how well it works. How well it compounds, and my life is, you can see there's boxes everywhere. My basement's now a mini warehouse over here.
I was gonna comment on it before.
Yeah, is that a Lego product in the back?
I got I got one Lego product down there, and then I got all kinds of boxes. I got everything.
Let's go.
But so right now I'm on that journey of balancing, because at the same time, work's not a joke. I'm good at what I do. I've invested a lot of time at the SAQ and delegating, and what helps me a lot is being able to delegate so I can have my mind in other places. I'm sure the SAQ, I'm not going to talk too much about that, but in the sense where I'm working 24/7 in my head, that's I love that. It's not something that I dread. A lot of times, if it wasn't for my girlfriend, I'd have absolutely zero social life. I hate going to parties, but I go to parties with her. And I'm there, and my mind is just okay, I'm on my phone, I'm on Be Cool, updating my prices, I'm refreshing myself central app, that's all I think about. And and like I said, I'm taking it slow. I started with I just said look, let me put $5,000, and the beauty about being able to do all this and saving so much is I'm able to just snap my fingers and okay, I'm putting $5,000 towards this, and things have been going super well. And I don't want to rush things, because at the same time, even if I put another $20,000, how much attention can I put to it? Yeah. Whereas right now, I feel I got the perfect balance of, I'm just getting paid by Amazon every 2 weeks, around $2,000, and I'm just trying to spend it all. And that's my goal. And after this Q4, because the SEQ is that's the biggest time of year. Also, like my store is going to be making like $400,000 in a week. Like I know I won't be able to dedicate like all my time towards Amazon FBA if I had $20,000 into it. So after this Q4 is when it goes dead time at the SEQ, and that's when I'm really going to be going all in and probably allocating another $10,000-$20,000. And I have a lot of future plans, but that's also something like just pacing myself.
But you mentioned a lot of interesting points. I'm just gonna try to bring it back to people.
We did everything there. So that was I went on a little.
Okay, first of all, what are we gonna name this episode?
Especially
the Anthony podcast.
Literally.
Yeah, but what I really want people to understand is that we have Liana, we have myself, and like in our program we have a lot of people who do entrepreneurial things. And what I want people to understand from this conversation is that, and we spoke about this stuff, is like leveraging your 9 to 5 into safe assets, and then afterwards, when you have a solid amount of safe assets, then you try to get the cash flow. And we've done this backwards, frontwards, whichever way. But I think that Anthony, the way he said it, really breaks down what most people should do. Use things that you do your 9 to 5. Try to implement those outside your 9 to 5. Take your 9 to 5 money, cash flow with it. Make as much as you can with your 9 to 5, and then look to see if you want to leave, then leave. But he mentioned the point where once you have a security blanket, afterwards, but you just do what the fuck you want, and it comes to a point when it's like, when you reach a certain network or you reach a certain amount in your bank account, then it's like, okay, let me focus on cash flow so I can actually pay off my like living expenses and live like that. So I think that's a really valuable lesson for people to get, because I think that we get so used to making money, spending money, making money, spending money, that you never actually have a buffer to actually invest or start a business or actually enjoy life. So I think when you mentioned to, like, I won't say being frugal, but being strategic of where you place your money and how it's going to maximize your return, I think that is probably, at least if you're under 30 or if you start your first like career job, that's probably the biggest lesson to take away from this episode.
Certainly if you don't got expenses, right? Like, I'm grateful to my parents, like said, look, live here as much as you want. And if it wasn't for my girlfriend, I'd be living here till I was 30. Not because I want to live here, just because I don't got no expenses. And like, I'm making a great salary. So it's like everything goes towards, like, I could be either spending money on dumb things or just 100% like invest. And that's the path I chose. Like, if anybody's watching this that's like 16 to 18, it's like, that's the time, because that's the most valuable time where your money's worth. Like,
I regret spending all my money at 16.
But I'll say this: before you have kids is the time you need to invest your money. Because the moment you have kids, respectfully, I'm not saying kids are, I love kids, I want kids, but the moment you have kids, your money's out the window. And shout to Jay-Z. Dinner with Jay-Z, but Jay-Z said a man who can't take care of his family can't be rich. And most people won't be able to afford a child because the government gives them assistance to afford basic living expenses. So the moment that the government doesn't have any money, like, how are you able to even support that? So like Auntie said, right now when you have no expenses, and legit at the end of the day, you shouldn't have any expenses besides transportation. Like, you shouldn't be eating out every single day, even though like you do it, like sometimes it's okay to indulge, but you have people who live or who rent $2,000 apartments that have a $500 car note and then ask why they can't invest their money. And you're making $4K a month. At the end of the day, like, your math is a math thing, so you have to see where you can cut your costs and then try and invest the difference into income producing assets or just asset producing opportunities.
When I was like 17 and people wanted like, and vacation's great. Like, I know you guys love traveling, and I got nothing. Like, actually, part of my goal in the future is to be able to travel and work at the same time. I think that's the beauty of it. But like, when I had $10,000 in my bank account, and my girlfriend's like, I want to go on vacation, and it's going to cost me $1,500. I was like, that's 15% of my net worth that's going towards a week or two. This just wasn't working in my head. And I actually had the conversation with my girlfriend long ago, like, hey, remember when like I would tell you that? It's like, now, if we want to go on vacation for like $1,500, $2,000, it's like, it's not to gloat or anything, but it's like, okay, I can just do it, and it's not going to hurt me at all. And that's thanks to me sacrificing 5 years. And like, what's 5 years for the rest of my life?
Exactly.
Facts. Would you consider yourself like a frugal person?
Yes.
I consider myself a frugal person. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yes and no. I spend on things I truly love. Right? I love golf. Spend $1,500 on my set. But I won't spend on dumb things, like the things that one of the best things when I lost weight, my 100 pounds, is I just basically cut everything. I was not eating any sugars. That basically almost eliminated all restaurants. That eliminated most like takeout food. Or just so I don't spend money on because those little things add up. And like I know there's the cliche like, oh, the Starbucks, don't buy a $5 Starbucks. Buy like if you love your Starbucks, buy your Starbucks. But you gotta cut somewhere. You can't just spend on everything. And it's way too easy to be undisciplined and spend. Certainly in the world we live in today. Heck, what do we do? What do we all do? We buy things and we flip it on Amazon for convenience for almost double the price. Like it's too easy to spend money these days. And like all around us, it's just like buy. Like you guys, I think all shared on your Instagram post that rat race. Like that's what it is. We're just feeding consumers like buy. You gotta have discipline and just not. And going to think, you gotta be frugal in your own way.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, you see, I don't believe in being frugal. Me and Sasha, I'm gonna say I'm bad and bougie. I have to have.
I'm bad and bougie.
A certain lifestyle. But I agree with you guys when it says like you gotta be smart with your expenses, because I think that what people get things misconstrued is that when I go to the restaurant, it's a tax deduction. When I spend money, I get a tax deduction. Everything I do, I get money back. I spend my credit because it's a cash back. So when you think like that, like where can I spend my money, or where can I go places and I get money back, your brain works differently. But people who don't have the luxury to deduct things, now you're just playing dumb, because it's not like you spend the money and then you gotta get it back some way somehow. So like Auntie said, we're such a society, especially since we have the tap feature, and since you have your debit card or your credit card on your phone, access to just being able to spend is outrageous. And that's why I said have Visa on your portfolio, FYI. But you see, we're so used to spending at the end of the day, and like you have to make sacrifices somewhere. You know, I cut basically, I won't say unnecessary shit, but like I have a very, very tight budget, and like I respect my budget to the limit. And once you're able to live under your means, then that's all you can ask for, and then you just invest the difference. But you know, like I want to hear Sasha's opinion on the bouncing out
on being frugal. Okay, well, actually, it's funny that you say this, because I actually just recorded a video about budgeting, because that's one of my main goals for October. So I bought like it's like an Excel sheet that's like, it's like a template that's already made for you, and like it calculates all of your stuff, whatever. And I actually showed in the video. I was just editing it before we started recording, but that's actually my goal for this month. And I am not perfect when it comes to spending. I like to buy stuff, and I like to buy Starbucks. I like to buy clothes. Like I just like to buy stuff. I don't spend a lot though. Like I have friends who buy clothes from like way more expensive places. Like I don't believe in buying like expensive clothes and like expensive things. So like I think I'm still generally a little bit more frugal than like my friends or like people I know, but like I still spend a lot more than Chris, for example. Like if we're gonna compare it to me and Chris, like Chris obviously spends like I spend a lot more than Chris. Let's leave it at that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's important to it's kind of what Anthony said, like it's important to, like if you really love something, like it's okay to put your money towards it, because like you can argue like what's the point in living if you can't enjoy something.
Yeah, I just want to tell people two things. Before I make a purchase, this is my rule. It needs to be on my cart for 7 days. If I come back to it 7 days later, I still want it, then I buy it. But
that's a really good method. That's a really good method. It works really well.
Yeah,
I do that all the time.
I see shoes or clothes, I'm like, yo, this shit looks fire.
I mean, I'm like, I need that. I need that.
And we talked about toxic relationships. One of the reasons why I used to spend so much is to fill a hole in my heart, to say like, yo, even in my life is shit, like I still look good, you know. So a lot of people are over consuming to forget about something that's happening in their life. Different conversation. And like at the end of the day too, here's another hack. I'll say this, because my mindset changed once I have friends that started working in the fashion industry, and you start to realize like the material that's used in certain clothes.
Yeah, it's like cheap. It's bullshit.
If I buy a $10 t-shirt for H&M and I buy it 10 times, it costs me $100. When I get about one t-shirt for $100 that lasts me 5 years.
Oh,
I
that's
thought you were
For
saying
men,
the
like,
opposite. I thought you
what
were
is
saying
it?
the opposite. No, I thought you were saying the opposite because like Louis Vuitton, you know how Louis Vuitton bags, they're not actually made with real leather. It's only the handle. And so I thought you were gonna
Yeah.
say that it's like fake.
No, I was about to say, like, let's say, for example, you go to Zara and you see a
Yeah,
shirt
yeah,
like
the
30
shirt's
bucks.
gonna be cheap compared to like if you buy a one designer shirt, it's gonna last you
Charl is
for
a
a long
There you
time.
long-term
go.
investor, even
Yeah.
for clothes.
There,
He's
there you
investing
go.
long-term.
But there you see, I have shirts that I bought from like Stone Island, expensive brands, but they're from 2017, but I still rock them today. People are like, "What the fuck you buy that?" But I'm
Yeah.
like, fam, if
No, but
I buy
that's a
something
good
for
point.
$500
That's
that
a really good
went
point.
for 5 years, you break it down per year.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
guys,
about to say, Chris, tell him about your jacket.
literally this week, because I bought a Canada Goose in high school like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and I bought it used for like $350, and I sold it this week for like $200, and it was beat
Oh,
up.
so he had a
It's
Canada Goose for 12 years that cost him like $10 a year
That's
to
crazy.
wear that Canada
basically,
Goose.
You see,
And like
there you go.
I did the
and it
same
was in
thing,
bad
but like
condition.
mine
So
was
like,
like $100 a year, or like $200 a year. But anyways,
I don't want to say like buy brands, but like there is a certain value in holding things that have a certain name to it, or like that
yeah,
hold value throughout the time. So
it's true.
yeah.
There you go. Because that's why I tell people. Because in the fashion industry, my trick is that, for example, now we're going to the fall, October, winter, all the things from summer are on sale right now. So the things that you would have bought in May at $100 are now on sale for $30.
Yeah.
So what I do is that I buy one season in advance. Like right now, I'm buying my summer clothes for this upcoming summer, and I buy my winter clothes in the summer. You buy that discount, and then you just buy for the upcoming season. So you never buy full
Yeah,
price,
that's
technically
smart.
speaking.
That's
So if you
smart.
buy quality things from quality stores and you break it down per year, a shirt that was $200 now $80. You break it down for 5 years.
Yeah.
Then that's how you make your money back. But if you spend it because it's the latest thing, and then afterwards you don't like it, and you wear it 2 times, 4 times, then you just lost out on a bunch of money.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anthony, I want to talk to you a bit about your weight loss journey, because I think that says a lot
Yeah, me
about a
too.
person. And so tell us a bit about that. Like, how much were you? How much are you now? And what did you do throughout to get there?
So again, a lot of ups and downs in my life. I played football pretty much throughout my whole like young life. So I was always in shape. I was always like a bigger kid, but like very muscular. Still am again today naturally a muscular man. But to make it cliche, I met my girlfriend, and I was in like bodybuilding, one of my better shapes of my life, because I just stopped playing football and I went, at full, let's just train. And the classic, we got bigger together. So and over over 3, 4, 5 years, I climbed from probably 200 pounds of like solid muscle to 280 pounds. And once I reached 280 pounds, a lot of, and this is the same thing when it comes to like entrepreneurship of like keeping trying. Like I tried many times. Like I tried to lose weight, didn't work. Tried to lose weight, didn't work. Tried probably 6, 7, 8 times. The thing is that if you just keep on trying, eventually it's gonna click. And again, podcast is what made it click in my head. I was on vacation, and I was coming back, and I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast with CT Fletcher, which is an old big bodybuilder, and he was saying how he got a heart attack, and his life again flashed before his eyes, whatever. So in that moment, I was like, I just need to change. I don't know what it was about that podcast, but it just clicked again in my head, and I went, if I'm gonna do it, like it's like a dynamite, right? Like if you're just tapping, nothing's gonna happen. But if you hit a dynamite with really hard, that's when it's gonna explode. So I went, before keto was keto and what it was today, and how popular it was, and all these products that come out, it's like, oh, high fat, low sugar, you get chocolate and all that. I went, I'm just cutting all sugar, 100%. I was looking at labels. And the beauty of it, I didn't even work out. Like I spent all my like young life working out. During through that weight loss journey, I did not work out really once. I was again working at the SEQ lifting boxes. I was an employee back then, but it was, I'm gonna look at every single label that I buy. If there is 1 gram of sugar, I'm not eating it. That includes fruits.
Yeah.
I was not eating fruits. I was not eating hot dogs. You think hot dogs is meat? Psych, there's 1 gram of sugar in there.
Crazy.
I'm not eating
it's
it.
Crazy.
Like,
it's crazy.
if you look on the ingredients list of most things, like you'll be surprised what's in there. If you're not able to just read what's on it, I'm not eating it. So for 6 months, I did not eat 1 gram of sugar and I melted. I don't remember exactly the timeline, but I probably lost like 40, 50 pounds in 6 months.
Wow.
Again, it was nothing like the first month was probably like 15, 20 pounds, but a lot of it is like water weight and like inflammation going away. Because again, when you're not eating any sugar, like your gut health is better, like your mind is better. Like I just felt like 100%. That was the, like, I'm not on that same diet if you wish now, but that was the best I ever felt when I was just, my mind was clear and I was motivated. And that's again what helped me scale and become a director at JCQ. But for 6 months, probably lost whatever 40 to 60 pounds. After that, I introduced fruits. Man, fruits tasted like the sweetest thing in the world. I remember it actually today. I was at my cousin's house and he had a blueberry bush. And I was like, you know what? Today, it was a hot summer, and I was like, today I'm gonna have one blueberry. I had that one blueberry and it tasted so sweet. I was like, okay, I think it's time to reintroduce fruits into my diet. So fruits became my sugar diet. Like I was eating grapes, I was eating apples, I was eating fruits. So I probably did that for another 2-3 months, continued to lose more weight. Then I wanted to live life again, get back to things how they were. So I was like, okay, but I can't just jump into like a normal diet because I'm gonna gain everything back. Like, so I was like, okay, my girlfriend and my cousin's girlfriend were like, oh, we want to do Weight Watchers, and I was like, look, I'll help them out. Like, I know if I do it, they're gonna follow along me, and I was already like super motivated. So I went on to Weight Watchers and probably lost like another 20, 30 pounds after that throughout another 4 or 5 months. And then, so I was at my lowest. Like when I say I lost 100 pounds, I didn't, I'm now technically at net loss of an 80 pounds. So I took 20 pounds back from my lowest, which is normal when you're on that extreme of a diet. If you wish, you're never going to stay at that lowest point. But I went from 280 all the way down to 180, and then came back up to around 200. And that's where I am now. Actually probably now 210, because again, what helped me, I cut all alcohol too. Sasha, I know you went on that. I'm going to know. I think Chris, I don't know if you do that too.
Yeah.
Alcohol diet. That's I hate alcohol. Like
me too. I hate it. Like I actually hate it.
For me, like waking up in the morning and having like my grogginess in my head, it's like no way. So honestly, it's not much better. But I found like, you know what, like when I'm out, like again, quote unquote, partying, whenever I'm with people that I'm forced to hang out with, like I started smoking cannabis, and I was like, look, in my head, I got more creative and everything. I just went, I'm just gonna stop alcohol. And there's that whole debate, right? Like I think both are not good. But one, like I listened to my body, and that's what it was throughout I lost my weight. And like I stopped drinking alcohol, started smoking weed, and I felt better. I was losing weight. Is it the best thing for me? Probably not. And also, like again, you do it. I gained a little bit of weight. Now on October, I'm going Q4. No weed, no sugar, cutting everything out again, challenging myself again a little bit for Amazon. I like to push myself too, and I think that's what it is. Like losing weight is just about like pushing yourself, showing yourself you can do it. Yeah. And I always told people like my golden rule. I haven't really seen it out there, so I feel like it's kind of like my golden rule is the rule of threes, like 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. Is like start off with 3 days of whatever you want. Don't have a weight loss goal. I didn't say I wanted to lose 100 pounds. I just ended up losing 100 pounds. Yeah. The first 3 days, after you do 3 days, you already have that locked in. So you're going to waste like 3 days worth of effort. No, just make it for another 3 weeks. Do 3 weeks. Then you get to 3 weeks done. Now you got 3 weeks of like just progress. Yeah. Are you going to throw that all away for that one piece of cake? Like on my birthday, I didn't eat cake. On my girlfriend's mother's birthday, like I didn't eat her cake. Like it's like understand that I'm trying to better myself, and that's the hardest thing, guys.
That's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask, like, how do you deal with family and stuff?
No, it's the most powerful word. No, I'm sorry. Like understand where I'm trying to do. I'm trying to better myself. Like that's seriously like the hardest thing.
The hardest thing. I swear.
It's just saying no to friends. Like having to explain yourself, like during my weight loss, like I went on a lot of fasts, not necessarily even intermittent fasting. Like I was doing 24-hour fasts, and I did 2 or 3 48-hour fasts again just to push myself. But like explaining that to people think you're crazy. Like and now like not eating breakfast is becoming a little bit more common on like because of intermittent fasting. Yeah. But like years ago, I stopped eating breakfast, and I have breakfast here and then when if I'm hungry and I want to on a weekend. But I generally don't eat breakfast. Like you're waking up, like certainly if you're doing an office job, when you're sitting down, like you don't need energy. Food is energy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So why am I going to eat a big breakfast, then go at work and sit down on my desk?
Yeah.
And then, 12 o'clock, I ate at 9 o'clock. Now it's 12 o'clock, I'm going to eat again. Makes no sense. So like, but just having to explain myself, I'd say was definitely the hardest thing.
Yeah.
And it's just having that conversation with yourself. I'm lucky I had my girlfriend to support me, and I was able to bitch to her like, oh, look at all these people. Why are they telling me like that? But like at the end of the day, it's all worth it. And it's just about like having a specific goal. And I always tell people, don't go for a specific weight loss goal, because like the minute progress stalls and you hit a plateau, then that's when most people give up.
Yeah.
And you can take that and apply it to so many different things, like Amazon too. Like the minute, I'm having a bad month, shit, like I guess I'm just gonna give up, and motivation goes down, and then that's how you crash. But like if you just go like, I'm just going to show up today, I'm gonna play. If today I can eat well, and today I can not have that piece of cake, and I can survive today, well then I'll make it tomorrow, and we'll deal with tomorrow. Like that's what it is. It's having that mindset. And again, YouTube, like everything I was listening to was about that, about losing weight and how sugar's bad, and how the sugar industry is like trying to make all kinds of money and all that. Like just what you listen to every single day plays like the biggest role. And also the people that you hang around with, and the messaging is just, again, I tend to not hang around with that many people, because I'm try to stay focused on the goal that I have. And I don't have that many people around me that have that same ambition on the entrepreneurial journey, and back then in terms of weight loss journey. So it was just like, let me surround myself with positive messaging, and that's what I did.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard to find like actual people around you. That's why like you're saying like you're resorting to podcasts and YouTube to find these people, like to surround yourself with these people it's with podcasts. And it's interesting because like this didn't exist years ago. Imagine like when the internet wasn't a thing. Imagine like what people back then were doing. Like they were like trapped with no one around them. It's actually kind of sad, but I think it's really nice that we can like connect with people through the internet. And even if you don't have any friends or whatever who are trying to do what you're trying to do, like you can find those people. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. But the next thing that I think we can talk about is I wanted to go back to your how you kind of strategically worked your way up in your job. It's funny because in my tweet I had wrote like I was like, if anyone knows about fitness, or like if anyone like I described everything that you just said. But I also specifically said like if there's somebody who has like strategically worked their way up into it, like in a job. And so I'm glad that you actually like you have experience with that as well. And that's something that we don't really, I mean, I know that our podcast is very like entrepreneur, I guess. Like we talk a lot about like businesses and like more unique ways of making money. So I feel like this is something we don't even talk about all that much. But where I'm going with this is like, what kind of advice can you give to somebody who is in that position of, you know, they're out of school, they're like, you know what, I don't see a future with school, I just want to go straight to working. What's the best way that they can do that without or like to actually make it worth it, you know? What's the advice that you can give for that?
So I guess it depends the industry that you're in. For me, if I keep saying SEQ since the beginning, if anybody doesn't know, the SEQ in Quebec is a government-run liquor and wine business. So going up in a 9 to 5, it's sad to say, but it's politics. It's all politics. It's like, how can my image was so important for that. It's like when I was an employee, every director I worked for had to know, I had to make them know that I was their best employee. And the SEQ is like a lot on like seniority. It's a very unionized environment. It's a very like the people who've been there the longest traditionally do the quote unquote easiest work, and they'll be on the floor while the new people are going to be at the cash. And I just went up to like every single boss, every single director, and I was like, look, I'm the best employee you got. Like you want to succeed, right? Like put me in the position for you to succeed, and I got your back. And I just worked my butt off for 2 years to learn the business, learn the industry. And then after that, it was about expressing the interest that I had into wanting to grow in that business. And then I had my chance to replace as a director for 2 years. So I was showing up, I was becoming an employee, and then after that, they tell me like, oh, like if you want, we got 2 weeks at this store. If you want to go replace the director's on vacation, and whereas some people take that and they'll be like, oh yeah, it's a great learning process. In my head, I was already a director. Like I was going there and I was dressed for the job, and I got actually thrown into fire because the first store I ever replaced was my own store. So for that 2 week period, my employees were my colleagues. And in that industry, that's one of the hardest things because you're now the boss. And the SEQ, like I kept saying from the beginning, is a high volume business. We do a lot of sales and we got a lot of clients coming in every single day. And we got to make sure that service is done. Like if I got an employee just hiding in the back, like while there's clients in the front, well, right. And like, look, some people like they're not meant for 9-to-5 jobs type of thing, and like, and a part of me is not, but like I wanted to become. At that time, that's all I knew. I was like, look, I got nothing else. I finished like my marketing degree in CJEP, but I'm not going to that. I know the salary and the safety blankets at the SEQ. So I talked to my boss a lot, and now these days, like it's coming back to haunt me a bit. But I put a mask on every single day. I was like, the Anthony that I am is not always the Anthony that's best fit for the job. So I need to put the mask that's best fit for the job. So I was putting on that mask, and I tried to be the best version of myself at work, and I tried to be friendly. But unfortunately, sometimes you gotta play the politics, and you gotta give disciplinary measures to employees that are nice people and they're great people, but they're not doing the job well. And that's the hardest thing. So back to what I was saying, like it depends the industry that you're in. For me as a director, which is like a manager, but I do everything from like doing the budgeting, from ordering the products, etc. I just make sure I was the best at everything I did. And I told the head director who's in charge of all kinds of stores, like I told him, like I'm going to be the youngest director at the SEQ. I straight up told him that. Like, and that's a little bit of the sports in me that I always wanted to be.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, like that's what I was gonna say. Like for anything, like guys, I got mad respect for all you guys, and you guys are way ahead of me in terms of Amazon. But like, if you guys slack, I'm coming for you. Like it's like Kobe, Michael, all these guys. Like you gotta have that fire.
Yeah.
I think people can relate to that because I understand what you're saying, and that for me, like what you're saying for me, you go into it knowing your end goal. But I think most people who haven't played sport can't tap into this type of fire when you wake up in the morning. You're like, I'm gonna fucking just kill it every day. You wake up today saying today's gonna be my bitch. But for people who don't have that drive to say my end goal, what are some tangible things you could say? I hate my job, but what can I do to make the best out of my situation? You know, because I think it's hard for people to look at a job and say, okay, well, I'm gonna take the positive things and apply somewhere else where that can make my money. I think people just look to say, how much am I getting at the end of the 2 weeks, and how much effort did I put into it to get that amount. So if you talk about how people could take like skills, or what could people look at when they're looking at a job to say, okay, what's the best use of my outcome? Because I know when we went to school, it was really centered on accounting and marketing, but I didn't really use any of those. Let me take that back. I didn't use any of those skills the way that it was taught to us. I use it more of a macro sense. So can you talk about how you use those skills, or all the presentation, all the things that we spoke about during school, and translate it over to a 9-to-5?
To be honest, I didn't use much of Vanny into my 9-to-5. Like it could be just because it's a completely different industry. If you want, like I think the only skill that I took from like my schooling in marketing in the SEQ was the whole like consumer, like what does the consumer want, and I tried to build like the best stores, and like when people walked in, like that was like a little bit of, like my competitive edge compared to my competition was like they were just going based off their numbers and analytics, where I was going, okay, I'm going to take the numbers and analytics, and I'm also going to apply, like, I know when consumers walk in, like the first thing they see, like everything needs, in an SEQ store type of thing, like all the skills that I learned from there, you need to apply it in a specific way. Like it's not like an easy answer to say. It depends the industry that you're in. For me, in terms of sales, is I went for marketing. I took what I learned in marketing. I went into like running a store and all that, and I tried to apply the best I could. But like, if I was working, I don't know, like a hairdresser, it'd be like, okay, how can I maximize the marketing in there? Like, am I going to run Facebook ads? Am I going to, because a lot of like barbers and stuff, they'll just run their business and they'll have like their Instagram page, but what about like ads and all that? And that, again, that's because I went to school for marketing, that I have that eye for that. But if people went to school, and again, I'm going away from the path there, but like a lot of people go to university and they learn how to become managers at university. That's my competition. And I always used to say, like, those people went to school while I learned how to do it in the field.
Yeah.
And like, and that's why, like, I think school is really important on like the skills that you learn. And you said it yourself, right? You took the macro. Like, I think school is really important for like specific jobs. Like, if you got to become a lawyer, like obviously you got to go to school. If you want to become a doctor, like obviously you got to go to school. But in terms of like business, and for me, I see everything as a business. Like, you learn, but while you do it. And like growing in a 9-to-5 is taking the industry that you're in, and again, absorbing yourself. And I took a pause in my entrepreneurship journey to like just focus in that. And I learned everything about that industry. Like, I'm not a wine nerd or anything, but I know a lot about wine. When I started, I knew nothing about wine. And like, so that's one step. And then it was learning how to manage employees, delegating employees. I started at 21 years old. I got to tell someone that's 45 years old what to do.
Yeah, that's
hard. Yeah,
like, and not only are they 45 years old and I'm 21 years old, but they have 15 years of experience and I got 2.
Yeah, they're looking at you like, who do you think you are?
And like, so when I was young, and again, it's being thrown into the fire and learning, and that's what it is. It's like showing up every single day, and that's how you grow in a 9-to-5. Is you gotta. And again, potentially for me, it's because of sports, and it's like I had that fire in me, like I want to be the best. But I really truly think, like, if you think about all these big CEOs, like, how do you think they got there? They had to have either a passion, a true passion, and a belief in the industry. To be honest, I couldn't care less about wine. Like, I like it, but like I couldn't care less about it. Or you have to want to be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, I think that's what people kind of like, and we spoke about a couple episodes ago, kind of just go with emotions. Like, you mentioned before the episode, I'm thinking about my life at 45. I'm not thinking about my life 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
But how many people could say, I'm going to look past my paycheck of 2 weeks?
You have to.
And that's the issue. Because for me, like you said, I'll speak for myself. Everything I do is strategic. And like, it has to go to a certain way. So when people say I have a certain outcome, I'm like, and you mentioned job experience, I agree with you. I think a lot of people fall into 2 categories. Either you go into school so deep that you become an A student and then you don't have the personal skills and the street smarts to become an executive or to become high-ranking executive. And then you have the people who are just street smart and you don't have the academics to put you in the doors to be able to actually benefit from a 9-to-5. And then you have the people in the middle, you B&C students who have a bit of both. And I think that's where you want to, for all the parents, I'm not saying you kids can have good grades, but there are certain jobs, doctor, engineers, anything in STEM, you need a university degree.
Yeah.
I don't care. Anything in STEM, you need university degree. But I think there are certain jobs that you need a university degree, but you only excel once you understand the actual business itself. And like for me, like I'm able to be a real estate analyst, yes, because I went to school, etc. But would I be able to go in the position that I am right now if I wasn't able to invest outside my 9-to-5? Probably not. So you have access to different opportunities when you're able to show a portfolio of things you've done outside of school, outside of just your working job. And I think that's what people forget. If I was an accountant or if I was in accounting, I would have done all my school and I would have had a thing outside to say, look at all the tax receipts I've done for the clients I have outside my 9-to-5. And when you're able to show that, I think that was a really great example. They mentioned that telling people what you want to do. Because I think that we often keep things to our chest and we don't want to share what we want to do. But I think that's one mistake. And I think that's when you don't have an abundance mentality. Because I tell people my ideas, but I'm like, there's no one that's going to execute my idea better than me.
No.
So you can't even complete the idea. Even if I tell you, you don't know where to start.
You got to have a plan, right? Like, you have to have a plan long term. Like you always, like you have to have a plan. And this is, I learned, I like my 9 to 5 job. All because I want to escape it doesn't mean I learned a ton from it, right? Like Charl, you have, I don't know if Chris and Sasha, you guys have real estate or not. I know Charl, you do. And like in Quebec, like we have a whole rule book on everything there is, like in terms of like your tenants. Like you can't get away with things. Well, at my work, I mentioned it's like a very unionized environment. Like this is my like union book, right? These are all rules I have to follow. If not, I'm gonna get in trouble from the union.
Yeah.
Like I'm not allowed to do any cash. I'm not allowed to lift any boxes at work. The only thing I can do is manage.
Wow.
So I need to learn how to delegate and make sure my employees are running while I can't do anything. And thanks to that, I'm able to go into real estate and I'll go like, people keep telling me like, oh, like you need to make sure you know the rules. You need to make sure you know the rules. Don't worry about it. I know the rules.
There's a lot of rules.
My whole job is knowing rules. And like, so I took everything that I learned in my 9 to 5. Like, again, I briefly mentioned, like I order all the products. Like when I say we sell to like $150,000 to $200,000 per week, that's all products that I'm deciding that's coming in. Now, obviously you have like the big products like Smirnoff and all that are going to sell itself, but like I still need to order the right products at the right time. And all that, right, translates to Amazon. I got to make sure when I'm looking at a Keepograph, like, okay, like for me, I saw the Keepograph and it's like, I don't need to watch no more YouTube videos on it. I know exactly what I got to do. It's dropping 8 times. Like I got to make a calculated guess how much my competition, and like, that's what it is. Like, so if you're in a 9 to 5, you don't need to leave right away. Learn as much as you can. And while I was on that journey, I wasn't realizing how much I was learning, just as much as I wasn't realizing from all the failures of my like young career in entrepreneurship. But like all those things, now I wake up at 25 and I'm like, damn, like I basically ran with no risk, and I didn't have the rewards from it and making like all the money that the SAQ makes, but I ran a multi-million-dollar business all on my own. I did all these things, and now it's helping me immensely in Amazon, and who knows in the future what it's going to help.
Yeah, and the fact that you've learned how to have to like delegate and like have employees. Like imagine with Amazon, one day you're going to start delegating your business. You're going to have experience, and basically it's like you're getting paid to learn all of these skills that it takes you to run a business by running someone else's business, but you're getting paid to do so. So that's a really interesting way of looking at it, because not a lot of people would look at it that way.
But I think that's the way to look at it, though.
For sure.
I think that's the only way to look at it. Because I think if you're not a doctor, an architect, anything that you need, I'll say this. There are degrees that are worth it. But I'm sorry, if you get a Chinese literature university degree, what substantial job could you have besides translation? So I think there are jobs that you need absolutely need a university degree. But I think that for anybody looking at this podcast or watching this podcast, listening, whatever, and you're under 22, do something with your hands. Go to trades. Go something with the trades. It'll give you the best balance of having a job secured, because we don't have enough supply for those jobs, and you also have the possibility of going the entrepreneurship route as well.
Yeah.
So I think that, like Sasha said, anytime you're able to get paid on the job, it's probably an accountant too. You work for the big four, you build your portfolio up, you bounce after 10 years. And I think there's nothing wrong with, I don't want to call it parking, but learning. Because I think a lot of people are like, I'm a trash employee, I'm just gonna be an entrepreneur. But if you're a trash employee, you haven't built the skill set to say, okay, how am I gonna delegate, how am I gonna deal with conflict, etc., etc. So I think there are valuable skills to learn from a 9 to 5, which are applicable outside of 9 to 5, especially if you do want to be I'll say a passive business owner. Because at some point too, there's a difference between being a CEO of a company and being a business owner. And I learned this through Amazon. You could be an employee of your own business if you don't know how to delegate properly.
That's true.
So that's where people have to understand, like, shit, if you don't know when and how to delegate, even though you're an entrepreneur, you're still an employee, regardless of how you want to slice it. The money can be going in, but you're putting boxes in place and etc. You're still working.
But you got to start as an employee sometimes. That's the thing. Like even in Amazon, right? I'm an employee for my Amazon business because I got to learn. If I don't go, and you guys talk about this all the time, before you hire a VA, you got to know what you're doing, or else you're just going to teach them like loser tactics, and you're never going to grow. Like you got to just have that plan. Like you got to be a dreamer at the same time. Like you got to have that like 5-10 year plan, and you can't put too much like detail onto it, but you just got to go like, this is where I want to be. And then you got to go into like, okay, like what's my plan for the next 3 to 6 months? And then you also got to have that plan for now. Like, what are you doing now? Where are you going? And like where you're going is, for me, for like a quick example, like right now, I'm just learning Amazon. I'm going all in and I'm focusing. And if I'm not on my 9 to 5, I'm at my 5 to 9, right? Like I'm just doing that. And I know after December, my next plan is, okay, I'm going to go and get a prep center. And then potentially I'm going to have a VA. And then I know 6 months after that, eventually, I know if I want to eventually leave my job and I have my real estate and I'm paying that mortgage and everything, I need more income. Unless when things get rolling, and hopefully it comes sooner in terms of Amazon growing and building more money. But you need to reinvest. You guys all know that you need to reinvest to make more and more money. So what's the next step? Well, it's doing what you guys do, right? Is like you got to sell a product online too. And having that course. I'm not ready to sell a course, but I'm building like, okay, how can I do this in my next 12 months? Okay, so I'm going to aim for $100,000 in sales on Amazon. I'm going to create a course, and actually put my effort into it. Then I'm going to give it out for free to my friends and stuff. Let them build testimonial for me. At the same time, get like all the referral programs and all that. But then when I reach $100,000 in sales, it's like, okay, now I can start giving it to people, start charging $200 to $400. And that's all in my plan in the future, but I can't spend my time going into detail and I'm not ready for that. Yeah. That's my goal in the future. That's my dream. Yeah. But now I got to go through the motion. I got to learn as much as I can about Amazon today. And I also have my midterm goal of like, okay, after this Q4, I'm going to have made money. Then my next step is getting a prep center and a VA. So and you can apply that, like, if you want, like, thinking really into the future, thinking into the midterm, and thinking into the present in any field. And that's what we do at work too. At work, like, I'm getting ready for Christmas and we're only in October at the SAQ. You got to always be in the present, one step ahead, but then also 10 steps ahead. And I think that's like the best recipe. And Charl, you were saying that before, like you can't just be going through emotion because you'll never get anywhere.
Yeah. I think Sasha and Chris, I think we spoke about this maybe like a long time ago, maybe like a year ago, 2 years ago. But I think that people need to start thinking backwards. Like, at least, okay, we talked about toxic relationship, but I think for me, like, you have to have like a type of lifestyle you want, certain type of goal, and then you work backwards. So you're like, okay, I want this. What salary do I need to make to have this lifestyle? Then you start looking at jobs or things that are able to support that type of lifestyle, and I think that's when you're able to make those type of decisions. But if you take a degree and it only pays you $34,000, but you're saying, I want to be able to go on vacation 4 times a year, you have to fill in the gap to be able to support that lifestyle. So I think it's very important. If not, it's never too late to be able to change it around. There's always things, my mom's on Amazon, she's past 50, so there's always opportunities to be able to make changes as well. So people shouldn't have to limit themselves to those types of opportunities. And as well, like Sasha said at the beginning of the episode, it all starts with a little community. Once you're able to have 2, 4, 5, 6 people around you all doing the same things, you'll see how quickly it is easier to just get the ball rolling on certain ideas.
For sure. Wait, Anthony, I have a question. How do you plan your day? Like, I'm really interested to know, like, do you use a planner? Like, do you use an app? Like, how can you manage so many things?
So again, I'm actually, so this is going like a little off topic. I'm gonna go right back to it. I'm actually gonna go consult soon, like at a psychiatrist for like ADHD and all that. Cause like I met with my boss, like my mind's all over the place. Like, and it's a strength if you wish, but also weakness. Like trying to get organized is my weakness. On Mondays like the SEQ, my schedule is Tuesday to Saturday. So my Mondays, like everyone's working. So that's my, like, the day I do the most. And I try to get like most of my planning done on Mondays. Yeah. But at the same time, if not, like I got my whole work schedule and that I do on my day to day. And like, again, it's a multi-billion-dollar business. So like people schedule things for me at work. Okay. But then when it comes to Amazon and everything else, it's just like I get off work and it's kind of easy when all I think about is that.
I feel like, you're not the type that needs it to be organized. It's like you're thinking about it all the time. So it's just like you're ready for it.
Like, guys, like I wake up, I check if I have any, if I've sold any. Like, that's like unhealthy, right? Like it doesn't do anything. Like,
how many times do you refresh the page?
So I actually don't even refresh like my Amazon Seller Central app. Because I found out it's faster to I have a shortcut to the Amazon Seller Central page, like the website. And sometimes though, like again, I'm like on a smaller scale. But I'll go on open orders and I'll check that number because sometimes the sales number doesn't even go up, but the open order goes up first. So like the first thing I do is check, like, did I sell anything on that day? And that's an unhealthy habit that I'm trying to break, but I'm never going to. Then before I start work, because I know when I try to go on to work, like I try to have like deep work, certainly at the beginning of my work, because that I at my job, because that will set my rhythm for the day. If I can do most of my work at the beginning, then I can let my mind wander. So before I start work, I'll open up Be Cool and I'll make sure like, okay, is my competition like undercutting me? Because they're guys, I got people who just keep tanking products. Warrior Retail, if you're listening to this, I'm coming for you. I don't know who you are. You destroyed my replan. I'm mad about that. But anyways, so I'll update my Be Cool before work. Then I'll do my deep work. I'll go on lunch. I'll listen to Buy Box Bandits, your podcast. I'll do all that. I'll take a walk. I do that. Then I go back to work. I do what I got to do at work. Sometimes I update prices at work, whatever. But then I'm done work. Before this podcast, again, I make sure Be Cool. I'll check Be Cool 2 times a day because people, again, like to tank prices or whatever. I'll check are things like just not selling as good as I want? Did I buy a little too much? Like I'll liquidate. Like I'm not shy. Like I know because of work, like rotation of products and just cash flow is the most important thing. So I'll take losses pretty often. Like for me, like the net at the end of the month using Sellerboard, like I make sure that my net profit is going up every single month. Sometimes this month I had the worst start of my month. I posted it in our Facebook group. I caught up. Like I'm back on track. Like I'm 19% over last month, and I'm hoping. But again, I digress in the sense of like my mind's just always there. So eventually, when I outgrow where I am now and I potentially have more responsibilities outside of work and like I eventually want to get back into YouTube. I want to do all these things, but I know I can't support my job at my 9 to 5 and that. So once I leave my 9 to 5 one day, hopefully soon, then I'll have to maybe go into more of like using a daily plan and all that. But when it comes to like, all I do is think about Amazon now. Like I don't think about anything.
I'm like, okay, where's this? Like, where's the drive coming from? Where's the fire coming from? Like, were you naturally born with it? Like, I'm.
Yeah, like I said, like, and I say
I'm
this.
like, I'm jealous. I'm jealous right now.
You know, they say like don't look at people that have 2, 3, 4, 5 years experience because they put in so much work, and like you guys are like the prime example, right? Your guys' sales are so above and beyond me, but I see that, and that's where I get that fire.
Yeah.
Like I see that, I'm like, okay, I got to get to it because he's not slacking, and like the only way I'm gonna catch up to you guys is if I try to put it, and you guys already have the advantage, if you wish, of not having a 9 to 5 and being able to put in, and you guys source like crazy. So it's like if they're doing that, I gotta do it, and I gotta like I can't. At the same time, like I know Charl in one podcast, you say like your superpower is like not sleeping, all that. My mind is everything. My mind is. I make sure I get my 8 hours of sleep. For me, I need it. Like to each their own. If you're able to function at 100%, good for you. For me, I need my sleep. But at the same time, like every other waking hour is that. And it's like, I have a goal of being able to be with my girlfriend and doing what I want when I want and to source when I want and to be able, like I said, I disliked traveling because of the cost and how much money I had. Doesn't mean I don't want to travel. And my dream were to be like, okay. And I literally told that to my girlfriend yesterday. We were hiking and we were driving in a long drive back from up north. And I was like, you know, there's a world that exists like where Amazon's going good. I have all these other plans in my head. And if everything works, like the only thing I would want is to be able to say like, we have rental properties. Like we'll go rent a month in France. We'll go rent a month in Italy and I'll be able to work from there. Yeah. Like, so that's that drive. It's like, I want to get there. But at the same time, I got to make sure that I'm doing 100% at my 9 to 5. So I don't get fired from there.
Yeah.
So I don't got time to not think. And honestly, and that's why I kicked it for the whole Q4, because as much as it's a benefit, it's also really bad. But that's where like cannabis and weed helped me, because I was smoking and I was like, man, I was just thinking and that's where the drive comes from. It's just, I want to get there. And I failed so many times. And now when going back to when Charl told me about Amazon FBA, it like clicked, and it was, I got to just go 100%. And at the same time, as much as I'm going 100%, I know that it's just one step at a time, and it's about growing slowly and sustainably and not giving up. And that's where like my weight loss journey comes into role, and saying like, look, it took me like almost a year to lose 100 pounds. Well, what can I do in a year for Amazon? Today, last month I was at $650 profit per month. Let's be honest, for me to quit my job and let's say I don't create a course and all that, I'll need to be making $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month from Amazon, and like that's pretty far. So it's just about taking one step at a time, but showing up to work to my 9 to 5 and my 5 to 9 every single day, and if my mind's always on it, I'm gonna get there one day.
Yeah, but I still have a question about that. Were you born in a family that spoke about money a lot, or like?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So,
what I'm wondering, because I'm like, how were you starting a business at 16? Because my mind was like not even in that place until I was like 20 something, you know?
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not ashamed of it or anything. Like my family's relatively well off. I'm not like my family's not a multi-millionaire or anything, but we're well off. And my father has his own construction company, and he's one of those, like, you know, crazy money, like just money, and I took that, and like, not that I love my father, and like for him, it's for his family, but it's like zero life experience. It's just all about money and making sure that we have money. To me, I saw that and I was like, look, I want to be able to do the minimum for the maximum.
Yeah. And
minimum doesn't mean not doing a lot of work, but it's like, can I put in all kinds of work now, so in the near future I can put in 20 hours? And if I can put in 20 hours, so I can be with my girlfriend and my family in the future and do all the things I want. So since a young age, it's always been like, obviously I had the influence from my father of like money's super important and all that. And it developed, and through the life experience and everything, I was like, I really shaped the way I see money. At the beginning, I'd want to say like, in CJEP, like where I used to hang out on, people called me Money Mancini. Like that was my nickname in college, right? Like, I loved money. But now I wouldn't necessarily say I love money, but more I love the process of making money.
Yeah.
When I watch like my quote unquote entertainment podcast, to like give myself a timeout, and like I look at people like Logan Paul, I don't see at Logan Paul, like I see the business that he made. Like, like that guy's a genius. And like Jake Paul, as much as you want to hate Jake Paul, like he's a genius. The way he marketed himself, like that's all I see is I see people how they make money. And that I found out that was my passion. It's like making the processes of making money. And I found out not too long ago, and I just doubled down, and again go back on Charl told me about Amazon FBA, and I was like, okay, wow, like this is the easiest way to create a business and scale. So
well, you've been reselling since you were 16. You said Gatorades, right? What got you into
Gatorades,
that? Like, how did you think of doing that?
I tweeted it was just easy. Like, you know, people were thirsty, and I had like, and I saw an opportunity. But like, even when I was playing video games, I tweeted at Chris not that long ago. Like, I was playing Madden Ultimate Team, FIFA Ultimate Team. Like, what I felt like, obviously playing the actual sports game was fun, but like people were spending hundreds of dollars and having a competitive edge and having better players in the sports game. Whereas for me, I found the fun in sniping cards for low and selling them for higher. So I was literally doing Amazon FBA in video games and playing World of Warcraft and doing the same thing. Like I needed to make money. Well, what was I doing? So now instead of doing that in a video game, I just try to do it in real life. So it's always been in my blood. I love to tell you like, oh yeah, it was this exact moment, but it's always been in my blood. And then every single life experience, whether it comes like football or whatever, it's just building that fire and that competitive edge of just like, let's go. Like that's all I think about, seriously.
No, I love your energy. Like it's radiating off of you. Like fire, I feel like the fire building in my body now too. I'm like, let me go get some.
A point in my life, I also wanted to become a motivational speaker, but it was like the path wasn't like it was set. Like it gets me hyped up too, and that's something that like my 9 to 5. What makes me so great is I'm a leader. Like people naturally follow me because like I try to empower people. I will always, and that's why like building a course is in the future. Yes, to make money, but because that's like also what I love. Like I love just motivating, and I might not be and again, nowhere near doing that now. That'd be disrespectful to everyone who sells a course now. I'm not ready to do it, but like making people believe they can do it, that's where the power is. And I think you guys do a good job at that. But like Amazon at the end of the day is a very simple process. It's about building that motivation and just going in and doing it every single day. And like to everybody who's thinking about starting Amazon, like you gotta be obsessed with it. Like, yeah, maybe I'm a little crazy and I think about every single minute.
But literally, you have to be obsessed with it.
Because like, how are you gonna compete with me? Like, if we're both starting out, how are you gonna compete with me when I'm doing it every single minute of the day and like you only want to do it 10, 20 hours when you're starting? Like, that's not gonna work. Like after this podcast, like I'm gonna go and package my products to ship it out tomorrow. Like it's not a huge order, but I don't send out like one big order every week. Like I'm sending out 2. Like the minute I get enough, so like my products are on like 25 cents to 50 cents per unit, I'm sending it. Like it's just nonstop.
Yeah,
so how are you going to compete?
I feel like you think that you need your job, but like just from hearing you, I feel like if you were to quit your job today, you can run up your Amazon business to like 7 figures in no time.
I truly believe it. I truly believe it. But like again, that's where I bought a 5-plex. I have a mortgage. It's tough. Like
it's in the plan. No,
yeah,
but it's
exactly.
in your plan. So yeah, take
exactly.
your time.
I want to, and honestly, I was debating it long ago. Like when I like really not long ago, like a month ago, like I really had like an emotional day, and I was like, man, like I really want to just quit and just go all in on this, and it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I just can't do it yet. But slowly but surely, like I said, I really think when I do gather enough experience to be able to create a personal brand, that's when it's going to be able to take it to the next level. And I'll be able to leverage my personal brand to then give me more time to spend on Amazon. I got to get myself to a specific number. So like whether that be half my salary now, like my paycheck after taxes now is like $871 per week. If you do that, like it's what, $3,200 per month type of thing net. Like I got to get at least a half that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Not reinvested. So like I want to reinvest everything into Amazon and then be able to net at least half of 3,200, you know? Like so it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Damn. That's like it's just very inspiring to hear you speak.
Yeah.
Thanks guys.
I'm like, wow, like I feel like I've done so many things in my life. Like I've tried so many different businesses and stuff too, but like hearing you say this, it's like you've done it at like a much higher scale. Like
yeah,
I'm
but
like,
at the same time,
I haven't done anything.
Well, no, you can't say that. Look at your Twitter following, right? Like and that's where like my business and potentially like I have all this experience, but I don't have a platform for it. And like that's where I'm gonna try to slow and again, thanks you guys. I'm only on Twitter now, like super small, and I'm not trying to rush anything, just tweeting out, like having fun with it. But like, I think your platform is your biggest asset, and Amazon is a super powerful tool, but you're able to leverage your platform even more. And like, I'm no social media expert, but I know you can do it, and all you guys can do it. Like, social media and e-commerce goes together like perfectly. And that's the way to leverage it. Look at the Buy Bot Bandits and Flip for Miles. Like that kid's doing like well. And that's through networking and all that. Like I think there's a place for everybody, and that's the beauty of it too. Is like everyone can win in this business. Like it's not about like just keeping everything to yourself. Mr. B said it like the best. Is like if you can help out someone else, right? Like in a world where I become also a big Amazon seller, well, I will be able to create value for you guys, and you guys only win by helping me out. And if I can help other people out, I know they will be able to help me out. Like my best friend, he's a straight up genius, and he almost went to the CFL. He still has one more year in university, but he's in AI and machine learning, and he's literally getting an interview with. I'm digressing a bit, but you're going to see where I'm circling back. He's getting an interview with a startup to become the CTO, Chief Technical Officer, and he's only going to be working 1 day a week and making 6 figures. He's my best friend, and I've been helping him out like for 3 years now on like finances and everything, because again, it's my passion, and he's been eternally grateful for it. And I told him that I was like, dude, I would love for you to pass me in net worth, because you are going to be able to return the favor, and like we have that mutual respect, and being able to grow the people around you is your biggest asset.
Yeah.
Facts. And you mentioned your like Logan Paul, Jake Paul. Do you ever see yourself doing something where it's like just social media based, growing your social media like that, doing reels content, like content? Let's Flip for Miles, for example.
100%. Like, and that's why I did my YouTube at first, and again, there's a world for that. It just needs to be not with a 9 to 5. Because I was burning out. Because as you guys can see, I'm obsessive of things, and I go crazy. So like and like Amazon FBA, I'm able to work around my schedule relatively well. But when it comes to YouTube videos, like again, like I said, I live in my parents' basement. Like certainly when you're filming YouTube videos, like you need things to be quiet. So, and it's disrespectful to me to tell my parents like, hey, can you guys shut up? I'm filming a YouTube video and I'm still new, so I'm taking many takes. So I try to, and again, Mondays are my only days. So I'm trying to blitz my YouTube videos on Monday. And then after that, at night, I'm editing. And I'm not editing like no bozo. I'm trying to be the best editor and learning.
Yeah.
So I'm editing until 2, 3 in the morning. And then I'm sacrificing my sleep. And it's just a downward spiral. So I was starting to burn out. So like, again, my plan is for now is just like build Amazon. Eventually, when things are calmer at work, I'm able to start scaling that like personal brand. And that's when things are going to kick off. But again, that's in like the future dream state. It's the near future, but I can't think too much about that because I'm not there yet. I need to figure out the now and the next couple of months. But absolutely, like seeing like Jake Paul, like having that personal brand, I think that's the best leverage in this world. And being able to diversify in that way.
Charl said that like 2 episodes ago. He was saying the same thing about a personal brand. But you definitely have like the story and like the experience to be able to share valuable stuff. So honestly, like any advice I can give is just start on Twitter, because like we actually have an episode where we spoke about this, of if you want to start on social media, Twitter's the, like, in my opinion, the easiest one to start, because written content, you can do that at any time of the day. You don't have to like look nice, you don't have to do your hair, you know, you can literally just be on your phone, you know, while if you're like, you know, if ever you're on your phone and you have time, like literally 10 minutes to just write something down in between, like on your lunch break or something. You can't film a YouTube video on your lunch break, you know, but you can write a tweet on your lunch break. So I always tell, like, that's what I said in one of our episodes, is just, if you want to start with social media, Twitter is so easy. And like, it's literally just being consistent and posting out tweets. It's actually quite a simple concept, but the easiest part is that you don't have to make videos, you don't have to look nice, you don't have to prepare for it, you're just making tweets. Obviously they need to be good and valuable, but that's essentially it. So that would be my recommendation, is start with the written content, because you can for sure manage that with your job. And then again, once you're able to fit in videos and stuff, you can do it. But what was your YouTube channel? Like, what was your niche when you were making YouTube videos?
Personal finance, surprise. And that was like, again, one of my passions, and I strategically placed myself there. I was like, oh, long-term personal finance has one of the best like ad rates. You're going to get paid the most. Like, you don't need a ton of subscribers, a ton of views to get a lot of money on YouTube doing personal finance. So that's like the niche.
Yeah, it's a really good niche.
And also, like, I know about it, right? I know about the FSAs, I know about RSPs, I know about all these things. But again, it was more of the time intensive aspect.
It's a lot of work for sure.
But like I got so many dreams, and I actually tweeted about that not long ago. Like part of my failures was trying to do too many things and not just focusing on one thing. Like when I talked about Amazon, because I did YouTube not too long ago, like 6-7 months ago, right? And my parents knew about that, and it's like, okay, now I'm doing Amazon. They're like, "Wow, you're starting another thing."
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, you're doing so many new things."
Exactly. It's like, oh, another thing. So
I'm the same way.
So now I really just sat down with Amazon and all in. Go ahead.
That's probably the biggest mistake I've done in the past, was telling people my ideas. And we spoke about this couple, like, especially once you have an entrepreneurial background, the worst thing you could do, at least I found, one of the worst things you could do is tell your significant other every single thing you're gonna do. Because when there's a pan out, how many times can you say I'm gonna do this and then it doesn't work out? So you run out of chances. So for me, it's like, when I do things now, is that I have the confirmation that it's done, or I have the confirmation that is like 6 months later things are going well. So that when you do bring it up, you don't lose our chances. Because how many times can you say, "Oh, yo, this is the idea, this is the retirement plan," and then it's like, "Oh shit," you know. So,
but when you find the right one,
that too.
But when you find the right one, I think it's easy, right? Like I share all my dreams and all that with my girlfriend, and like she believes in me 100%. Like I can fail 10, 20 times. Like whenever I got a new idea, like and she's seen every single thing. She's seen things that I didn't even tell my friends, tell my parents, and it failed right away. And again, when I told her like, like this Amazon thing, I believe in it. I'm putting $10,000. Like it's our money, right? Like, I'm putting $5,000-$10,000. She's like, all right. Like she believes in me. Like
she trusts
you.
So
like going back to that, is like when you find the right one, I think it's easy. But I do agree with you. Telling people is, at the same time, I tell people, and I don't really care about their opinion. I tell them because that's what I'm doing. And if all I think about is that, like, it's going to be hard not to tell them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. You just need to not let what they say, because a lot of people, if you tell them something new, they're gonna be like doubtful. They're gonna be like, oh well, I heard somebody did that and they failed, or like I heard someone lost money from it, or like people are gonna share what their belief is about it, not what your belief is. So a lot of times it's gonna be negative, and if you let that get to you, you're gonna be like, oh well, I guess I'm just not gonna do this anymore, So that's I get why it's a good idea not to say it, but
that's where you find who like truly wants the best for you. Right? If you tell people things and like they start automatically like doubting you, like, and there's a difference between doubting and challenging, right? Like my best friend that I was saying, like, super smart, like he was challenging me. He was asking me like, okay, are you sure about this? Like, what's the process is? And he was asking me questions to basically make sure I was doing the right thing, but he believed in me 100%. Whereas other people were like, oh, this thing. Go ahead.
But I think there's a certain type of cachet that has to be developed. Because I know people, they're like, oh, I have this idea it's gonna make, and like Auntie said, like I relate to having the goldfish mentality or a squirrel one is like, if you have an idea, like new thing, and they're like, oh, but when you have a process where like I've done this, this is a natural progression. People are gonna look at you like, okay, well, fam, you said you're gonna do this, you did that, and there's natural progression. So when you say it's taking a bit of credence to say, okay, well, I might not understand it, but he's proven that when he puts his head to something, and we talked about it with Swift, there's like a progression to things so people don't think you're crazy. But if you go from, I don't know, you have a clean business, then you say you want to open up a bowling alley, and they're two different things, then people are going to look like you're crazy. So I think that's why it comes into play, because when you've done things, they were all centered towards e-commerce, so there's a natural progression that goes into where you learn from your mistakes, etc. If you're telling me you're going to go open up a salon, but you never cut hair in your life, and that's why... And like I have people who've done like random things, and you look at them like, okay, well, I believe in you, but like, have you shown something or interest in that before? And if not, then I think that's why it becomes challenging for people.
I'm basically like the perfect example of that, though, because I've done so many things that were different, like in fitness and like how in like food and like beauty, and then also in like Amazon. So like I feel like my mom is the person who has heard me say the most things, like, oh, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try this, and they were all kind of different from each other. But like I think it's important to try so many different things until you find what's right for you. And I don't know, my mom every time I told her something new, she was like, are you actually gonna go through with it this time? And I was like, oh my god. But it's like, it happens so many times where I started something and didn't finish, right? But I think you just have to keep trying until you find something that works for you, and like ignore what anyone says. Like if somebody tells me, oh, I'm gonna try something new, or they post a video of them singing or whatever, and everyone else is like, oh my god, ew, why are they singing? And they think it's weird, right? But me, I'm like, I'm so proud to see people trying something new, because I'm like, even though I tried so many random new things that people were like, oh well, who does she think she is to try this new thing? Or like no one would ever expect me to go in a finance type of route, because I was never someone that was really good at that. So like, I don't know, I think you should just try anything. I'm so happy to see people trying new things, because like you never know really what's gonna stick. And yeah, I don't know, I just think you shouldn't be afraid to try new things, and just don't ignore what anyone says. Like if anyone wants to say that it's weird, just do it anyways.
I think for some people it's not even bad intentions, it's just like that's their life experience. So that's the way they think, that's the way they view the world. So it's like not even out of bad for you, it's just like that's they know that's what they are. And so yeah, you can't like listen. And as long as you literally like research whatever you're starting, like if you know exactly what you're gonna do, like if you've researched everything and like you know everything before even starting, then it doesn't matter what anyone tells you, because like you'll be so sure about what you're doing that there's like no way for you to fail. So
most people are quick to judge before putting 5 hours of research, right?
Literally,
or like they see one headline of like something that's negative, and they're like, oh, that's bad,
Like when I bought my Flyflex, like it's an $800,000 building. And like for me, like all my friends know, like I've been obsessing about money for all my life. But my girlfriend's friends were like, "Wow, like are you sure? Like that's pretty big. That's like what are you getting yourself into?" It's like all because you're in a situation that you have debt and you can't and you want to still buy stuff. Like no, but that's what it is. It's like people are so quick to judge, and people are so quick. But again, why are they judging? Why are they trying to instill doubt? It's because they aren't where they want to be, and they did mistakes in their lives, and they're not at the same position of you. And in a way, it's like whether they won or not, it's jealousy inside. And like jealousy that they're not where they want to be.
Yeah. Or like they don't believe that it's possible for them, so they're putting that doubt on you, you know?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And Chris, I love what you said. Like, if you research what you do, like, you know about everything. Like before, like I did your course, and I also did all kinds of YouTube research on like Amazon FBA. And like one of my favorite like tips is when I listen to YouTube, whether it's podcasts or education, whatever. Like I learned how to listen at 2 times speed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
Chris,
you want to talk about.
Thing.
You want to talk about Untold Gem? It's about learning how to listen at 2 times speed.
That like, changed my life.
You listen something for 2 hours, 1 hour it's done. My trip to work is half an hour. So in half an hour going, half an hour coming back, I can listen to a 2-hour podcast on anything.
Damn.
That's fire. No, it's true. Like that changed my life. Like that's when I started learning about Amazon was the one. I do 1.5. So you do times 2?
I do times 2. Well,
Damn, I need to bring it up to times 2.
Well, you can, like, I learned incrementally, right? I went to 1.25 and then 1.5.
Yeah, you gradually get there.
I'd go over times 2, but YouTube caps me at times 2. So, like...
No, that's fine. But I remember because I said that because when I started Amazon, like, I had done so much research. And when I started telling, like, a few of my friends about it, they were obviously saying, like, oh, are you sure? Blah, blah, you've already tried and failed. But I was like, I couldn't hear them because I was so sure this time, like, it's not wrong. Like I've done hours and hours and hours of research. So like there's nothing you can do but change my mind.
There you go. You know, and like shout to that because a lot of the people that get doubt to the beginning, like when I bought my first property, a lot of people that say, are you sure? Are you not too young? 23 is young to have a debt like that are the same people that got come around a couple months, couple years later asking you for advice on the exact things they said they were worried about. So it comes full circle, you know. I'm sure Sasha and Chris, you guys done the same thing where people were like, they were questioning you and now they have questions about it, you know. So for me, that's why I'm like, my DMs are closed, unfortunately, depending on the person. But I think that, because if you, I'm like that. I'm pretty like that. Like if you weren't there with me from the beginning, I can't give you a ride when the bus is like.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's reasonable,
you know, because it's. I think people are so quick to judge, and I think that. I think most people are unfinished story. I think some people have like you stuck there, and unfortunately that's your cap. But I think a lot of people have room to grow. However, I want to go there with people who didn't doubt you from the beginning to say shit. Okay, I saw the potential and I was there with you for every step instead of saying, I saw the final destination. Then I want to hop on for the quick cash.
Yeah, certainly the people who doubt you at the beginning. But if someone didn't doubt me at the beginning and they just see me and they respect where I am, like I love to help. Like I love to help people, like in that sense. And going back to like what Mr. B says, like helping people will only help you in the future if they can succeed.
Yeah, it's so true.
But you're right. If you doubted me, like fuck you, you know, like you're not getting shit.
No, but you see, and like we talk about motivation. I'm weird. I have to be. I guess it's in a politically correct way. I have to be sometimes like pissed off. Or I have to create narratives in my head for things to keep going, you know. And like, I remember this quick story when Kobe Bryant's like, why, like asking him like, why he wakes up at 4 a.m. and it's like, because the son being trying to take my spot. But it wasn't nobody trying to get take Kobe Bryant's spot, but it's just this narrative he created and said to be able to wake up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So when you're able to have these little narratives in your head, that's what keeps going. A lot of people are like, especially like for you, Anthony, like how you keep going, different things is like when the goal is so far away, sometimes it's hard for you to stay motivated. But when you have small intermediate goals along the way, that's what keeps it exciting because you always have something new to fetch.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good trick for people to have like small long-term goals, medium-sized long-term goals, and you have the North Star, the ultimate goal. Because you'll never reach it until at the end. But if you reach different things, I don't know for you guys, I get bored sometimes. Like,
yeah,
I get bored, but it's like
you have nothing to look forward to.
I'm like, once I reach my goal, I'm like, what's next? I don't even enjoy.
Me too.
Yeah. My accomplishments the way I should.
Me too.
So that's something I'm trying to. That's something I'm trying to like get better at. But like for me, it's like once I finish that, I'm like, what's next? And that's why it's. At least for me, I need to have something new every single time, and
that's what helps you grow, right?
Yeah.
Like
there you go.
It's getting like for me, if I go through a day and like luckily I don't have that many of these days anymore, but if I and it still happens. If I get 0 sales in a day, that's the best day. I source like crazy those days because that motivates me. I'm like, damn it, man, I didn't get any sales today. Like, I just need to source more because again, once the products are on Amazon, like you can't do anything about it. You can't make them sell quicker, or except for like a little bit of PPC or whatever. But like, that's when I sell more. And when I started the month, the worst month, this month was my worst start of the month. Like that just made me source, like spend. And like you got to find ways to just light that fire in you. And like actors like are able to cry in demand because they have like that emotional connection to something that makes them sad. Well, you got to have that emotional connection for that drive and to be better in anything, whether it be business, whether it be weight loss, whatever. Like whenever you start doubting yourself, if it's weight loss and you have like a cake in front of you, well, like try to channel that, like, why are you trying to lose weight, and get angry because like you don't like the way you look, you're not healthy, you're whatever the excuse is. Like you got to just tap into that emotion and get fired up.
I think that's amazing advice. That's amazing.
Like Michael Jordan when he says like, I took this personally, like everything he took personally.
But I'll say this, and that's, I wish more people could tap into that energy, Chris. Because for me, what anybody says, I take it personally. I don't care if it's my own mom. I'll put my mom wrong, you know. But it's like that, you know. And like I heard LeBron say, like, I don't care if my mom was playing for the Clippers, I hit her in the face. And
what, he said that?
Because for me it's like, how bad do you want it? And somebody asked me this question, is like, if you knew you were gonna die at 35, but you were able to accomplish all your goals, would you die at 35? And I said yes. People look at me like, shit, that's kind of fucked up. But when you know where you want to go, and then that's really what you want, then there's the ultimate sacrifice for it. But at the end of the day, I think that we're such in a PC culture where we don't develop a winning attitude because everybody wins. We all have these participation trophies where there's no winner or losers. We don't have any separation to say, okay, well, he won, she lost, and vice versa. And then I think nobody's really able to develop those skills to push them towards a different level afterwards.
One of the oldest quotes that I got, like that I still remember to this day, and it's such a powerful quote. I don't know if you guys know about Eric Thomas. It's a motivational speaker. He's
my guy, E.T.
E.T. And like I was reciting this in CJEP, and I still remember every single day. And it's cliche, but whatever. If you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe,
that's it.
That's when you'll be saying it's classic, but that's what it is. Like if you don't want it as much as you want to breathe, you will not be successful, and that's what it is. And that's why,
so
like,
whoever did not watch that YouTube video,
you gotta watch.
Like it. I think that video is like 10 years
11
old.
years old. 11 years old, I think. Like
it's the like original motivation, like
that's you go back from time to time, and if you don't feel like going to a big wall afterwards, it's not for you. It's not for you. I'm sorry.
If you work out,
I'm sorry. If you listen to the whole video and you don't feel like punching a wall or like jumping out of the building, it's not for you. I'm sorry.
But that's for like YouTube, right? We talk about education, but what, like, even like YouTube is the best source, man. Like when I don't feel like going to work, or like when I train, I don't listen to music. Like either I'll be listening to education or I'll be listening to motivational speeches. Like that stuff will, like, we talked about, like, creating that emotion to that thing that fires you up. Constantly watching hours of motivational speeches and like different ways to tap into that emotion of drive. And like that's where I think I potentially get it a little bit, is because I listen to so much. And like my friends used to call me crazy. I used to work out, and in my ears it was just Eric Thomas screaming, if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe. And like, and that's just always in my head, and that's definitely got to play a role in my drive today.
100%.
But even I'll go back to music, because even like, shout out to my boy McMill, like sometimes I don't know if you guys feel this,
there's quotes,
you get into a zone, and I don't know how this is gonna sound like very like some voodoo shit, but I feel like teleported to a different type of place. When you get to a zone, it's like you can't be stopped. So I think people have to, some people it's yoga, some people it's meditation, etc. There's something that's gonna trigger an emotion in you that you feel like you've conquered anything. And that one time I went to the doctor, she's like, most of the doctors when they do surgery, they play their own playlist, so they can be so magical with the precision, so that they make sure that when they do the stitching. So I think that people need to get into this I don't know if it's meditation, I don't know what music playlist, motivational speaking, or even something called the Superman pose if you want to do it before work. There's something that's going to drive you to say, okay, I can accomplish anything today. Yeah, I think that's what people kind of forget to do, because people just go through the motion, and then it's hard for you to wake up every day and do the same thing again and again.
Yeah.
Guys, it's funny, but like, I'm going to be transparent here. Before this podcast, like, I swear to God, I listened to 2-3 motivational speeches. Like, it's just, again, for me to like hype myself up. Like, I'm going to, like, I'm always trying to be the best. Right? Like, you guys had like this 25th episode. Like, I'm trying to be the best yet. Like, you gotta get into the zone. You gotta find your way to get into your zone for everything that you do to better yourself.
Okay, after this episode, I'm gonna go listen to a motivational speech.
But what do you guys do whenever like you feel too comfortable? Like, because for me this year it was a bit like crazy what was happening in my personal life, and I got to a place where I was like, because I didn't have any day where there was no sales, I wouldn't have that. Oh, I need to source right now. I need to go get it. So
you know what it is?
When you guys are comfortable,
think about your grandparents coming in from a boat. That's what I think of.
Yeah, that's
like, my grandma used to work at a factory to make ends meet. That's when you think about that. And for me, I am my grandparents' wildest dream. Whatever I'm doing right now, my grandparents want to take own real estate. So the fact that like we have opportunities to be able to do different things, and my sole motivation is to make my last name stand out. Like, I want to be with the Hiltons, the Marriotts, the Smiths. When your last name's mentioned, it's like, oh, we know the family. That's the only motivation I need.
Damn, Mr. Valdenar.
You already know. You already know. Like Bird said something, and for me that stuck with me. It's like, when you're able to put your imprint on the world, that's the only motivation you need. And for me, ever since he said that, like 2023 might be the biggest year of my life. And I feel it. And 2022 was already a big year. But it's because I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this at 35, this and that. But it's like, now things are going in place where there's just so much momentum. And I think it's a snowball effect. Once you're able to build a bit of momentum, things are just gonna catapult to a different category. So I think once you lack motivation, go back to the beginning, go back to the basics, and then that momentum is gonna build back up to have. Because sometimes we don't feel like getting up every single day, but like when you think about, like, sleep wasn't an option for most people, so we have luxury of sleep also. Yeah.
What about you guys?
Tough to say. I haven't been comfortable in a long time because I have that dream, right? Like, you've gotten to a point where things are going very good in your Amazon business, and as much as I push, like, oh, like, you got to be fired up, you got to keep going, I think it's at the same time okay to breathe and enjoy life. It depends where you want to go. Depends what your goal is. So, like, for me, I say, like, I want to be able to travel and work at the same time. That's always been my goal, and be happy with my girlfriend, have a family and everything. Like, when I'm there, like, okay, maybe I'll be okay. Maybe, like, I'll just be like, look, this is where I just want to cruise and quote unquote go through the motions and make the salary you want. Because at the same time, like, some people have the ambition to becoming Mr. Valbenar and becoming like a high-end CEO or whatever. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with just living life and being comfortable. I don't think there's something wrong with that. I think we're in a culture, and like, I've been preaching it about it, like, hustle, hustle, hustle. But we're in such a culture of hustle. I think it's okay to once to reach where you want to be, to breathe at the same time, if that's what you want.
Yeah.
So it really depends on your goal. For me, I haven't been comfortable in a while because my goal is so far out, but it depends where you set your goal.
Yeah. No, that's a good answer. Sasha?
No, just it's what Anthony said before. Like, just think about what's your why. Like he was saying before, like, you have to think about what's your why. Why are you doing it? And if you're being comfortable, but you still haven't like reached your why or whatever, reached your goals, then you have to what Charles said. You have to like listen to those, like, go back to the beginning. You need to go listen to some motivational speeches. Yeah. No, but me too. Like, sometimes I'll be at the gym and like I hadn't listened to a pod, because me too, I listen to podcasts in the gym and it's so motivational when I do that. And sometimes I like forget about Audible, or I forget about my podcasts, and I'll take a break from them. And then when I go back to them, I'm like, oh my God, why did I stop? Because it's like, it reignites that like motivation inside of me. So it's like you just have to, sometimes it happens, unfortunately, you fall off and you lose all of that. But again, just go back to the basics of what initially motivates you.
I think you should go back and listen to Michael Jordan, Chris, because I think.
Oh yeah, go watch it. Go watch the Last Dance.
Because like once you win,
that's what started
it. You know,
it
it's hard for you to. It's hard for you to motivate yourself. I think, and you know, somebody said this and it sticks with me. Like here's my biggest motivation. Sometimes you just want to prove people wrong, and sometimes that just gets me up. That's no motivation for 2 months, but that keeps the ball rolling for me to go through the motions and carry forward. That, and I think, like Anthony said, it's okay not to be motivated all the time, and like take a pause. I'm all with this work-life balance if there is a work-life balance.
Yeah.
Pause. I just think that there's two types of people. I think there's people that go through emotions and then they complain about their life. I think there's people like us who like you try to find that balance between like, okay, well, I don't want to grind 24/7, but I also want to enjoy my life. But I don't want to be complacent and just stop growing, you know? So I think that going back to the basics, but also having the opportunity to like do those challenges and trying to make it interesting for you once in a while, it's things that could just reboost the engine. And then once the engine is reboosted, then they'll just go back to what you were doing before.
Yeah.
This episode alone just motivated me so much.
Yeah, me too, for real. Because like, I think looking back at this year, I'm putting myself in like the future because I like to think in the future, and this year will have taught me like a lot about what life can do to you, especially when you have a business, and like how important delegating is. Because like if you don't delegate properly and then life hits you with some real stuff, and like I haven't even experienced half of like what real life
can really hit you
has to offer. Like you just have to have like a team in place. You have to have solid people around you that'll like help you and keep your things going for you. So
I think we're all in a similar impasse. I don't know what Anthony just started, but I think we're all in a place where I don't think we plateau, but I think we reached the max we could do by ourselves. And now it's like, how much can you delegate? But without making your business suffer, and how much you want to take on because you want to keep control of your business.
Like at some point you need help.
At least for me, 2023, it's probably there you go. And for me, like Anthony said, like being an employee, and I'm an employee for everything, but I like it like that. But like Chris said, I think that when shit gets hard, you won't be able to be everywhere at the same time. So look at how the systems in place beforehand, before something gets bad, is probably my challenge for 2023. And that's probably going to be the biggest challenge in my life this far also.
If I can give you guys any advice for delegating, because that is one thing I have a lot of experience in, is Gary V. Shout out to Gary V on like empathy. And like having empathy is really important. And like be soft with the person, but be very difficult with the job, right? Like but the person might be having a rough patch, and it's cool. Like you can respect the person, but when it comes to the task, they gotta do the job. Certainly, if you're the one paying them, right? You got a VA, and it's like lead with your heart, right? Like don't necessarily always put money, and money is the business, but don't always put that at front. Like lead with your heart, but just make sure they're doing the job and they're making your business run. And like you'll be able to lead with that, because if they follow you and they want to work for you and not for a paycheck, that's going to be your best like asset. And like the way you treat your employees and the way you talk to your employees and the way you communicate with your employees is everything. And like we're in a division in my work, like we got 3 different directors running like the same pool of employees. And there's a reason when like we're on call, people are coming to my store. And like when I meet with my boss and like we have our customer service and we're sharing all the same employees and we have the customer service, and like my customer service is beyond the roof. She's like, I don't understand this, because the people follow me because I lead with empathy. Other people are just trying to climb the ladder, which I was too, but I was respecting my employees at the same time. And that's where like I'm really excited to get into that journey and hiring VAs and all that, because I think that's where it's going to compound and go really quick and scale really quick. I'm taking my time to it, but like I'm really excited for that journey because learning how to manage employees is such a unique and strong skill. And that's why I say shout out to Gary Vee, because I think Gary Vee does a really good job at communicating empathy.
Yeah, you have such a good edge when it comes to that, because the fact that you have experience in it is going to help you a lot when you're going to hire your first assistant. Like for me, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, because I had zero experience in like managing someone or hiring someone or anything like that. So it's going to be like very easy for you to do that.
Yeah, like when I hire people at ACQ, like we got like a whole like little thing that we got to go. I take that, I follow it, but like I do it my way, like with empathy, and that's why when I hire, a lot of times like the people that I hire end up sticking with us for a long time, because I cut all the bullshit. Like it's just like, show me who you are. Like ask them the tough questions. Like, are you like, in a way you got to figure out, are they here for the paycheck? Obviously they're here for the paycheck, but like, do they actually want to learn and build a business with you and work for you? Or are they only interested in for the money and they don't care about anything else? Like that's like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and before we wrap it up, because I know it's been a long episode, I just wanted to know from Sasha and Chris, what were your biggest mistakes that you've made that impacted the way you look at life right now? We just like talk about, like, I know Anthony mentioned a lot of things. I just want to have like a full circle discussion on that.
Biggest mistakes?
Like that you learned from that.
In business or in general?
Whichever.
It's a hard question, but like I'll start with something, like some things that I'll go back to what I was saying, where I was saying I've tried so many different things in my life. Like I've tried anytime I saw an opportunity that was like, oh, you can have your own business if you do this, I was like, okay, let me try it out, because I knew that I wanted to have my own business from a very young age. But something that I never took the time to do with all of these like trials that I did was learning how to like become a solution oriented person. I talk about this a lot because in order to have a business, I'm gonna bring it into like into the business, because that's important to me. But something that I learned with a business is you need to be solution oriented. Like I'm somebody that's very easily, like if something goes wrong or something gets hard, I'm like, okay, well then I'm just not going to do it anymore. And so sometimes people will ask, oh, well, how come with Amazon it's worked? And like, it's not necessarily that Amazon is my passion or anything. It's just because I've learned that in order to actually have a business, you need to, if a problem hits you, and trust me, with any business, there's going to be a lot of problems, a lot of like bullshit that will come your way. And we have no control over that, unfortunately, but it's how you respond to it. Like you need to become solution oriented. And I think, so like, if you're asking the question of like, what are some mistakes you've made? It's basically just not being solution oriented and not taking the time to learn how to deal with issues. And that's essentially why a lot of my business attempts all kind of failed, was because I never took the time to actually learn how to fix problems and how to be that person. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's the first thing that came to mind, was really just like, because I failed a lot of times. Like I have a lot of failed attempts, you know, and that was the main reason. So I think that would be my answer. But what about you, Chris?
Yeah, I think it's a bit similar, but I think like for me, it's like being afraid. For the longest time, I was afraid to invest. Like it wasn't even about the money, or it was just like, I don't know, like I didn't want to spend any money on even investing in myself. And like, I don't know, if you don't learn how to do something before you do it, like if you don't learn properly, it's gonna fail. Like if you don't plan, like you guys have said throughout this whole episode, like planning long term, midterm, and short term. If you don't have a plan, you'll fail. If you don't learn properly, you'll fail. And if you're afraid to invest in yourself and you're not confident in yourself, you're gonna fail as well. So I think those things with me, like if I look back at the things that I tried to start and failed, those three things were probably missing. Like I didn't learn before starting. I just like started and tried to learn as I was
results.
doing. Yeah. Or I wasn't confident enough in myself to think like, okay, I can do this. Or even quitting. Like quitting is I think quitting is the biggest mistake you can ever make.
Yeah.
Because
I tweet this like every week.
Yeah, I think you have to set a deal with yourself, a long-term deal, to before you start anything, to decide like, okay, I'm not going to quit no matter what happens for a year. I'm not going to quit. Like so when you give that like sort of contract to yourself, what happens at the point where you will want to quit is, you know, you can't quit. So what happens, like your mind is going to start thinking of, okay, what do I do now? If I can't quit, what do I do? Because you have to do something now. So just making that like contract with yourself before starting, that like non-negotiable, I'm not quitting this thing that I'm starting. And that's why you have to be sure before you start something that you can do it for a long period of time. So like before you start anything, if you don't see yourself doing it for at least 1 year, don't even start. And then if you do see yourself doing it for at least 1 year, you have to like literally convince yourself that you will not quit no matter what happens for at least a year. And then you'll see what happens after that. Because sometimes it's like that moment where you were thinking of quitting, you just wait like 2-3 weeks pass by and then something crazy happens like to your business, or it's crazy how that works. Like, so just, yeah, never quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Strong lesson.
Yeah. Well, that was a great episode.
Yeah, that was I think this
There's
is our
so
longest
many...
episode. So
yeah,
you've made it to the longest episode. And I think
I
also,
swear.
Sasha, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't recording at the beginning, was it?
No.
Like just for the first like 30 seconds. So
no, but I think we got basically you when you started talking Anthony, and introducing yourself. That's when I was like, oh my god, because I realized we didn't even hit record. So let's just refilm the intro, right?
No, not even.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's fine.
You sure? Okay.
Well, guys, this was episode of 25 of the
Wait, no, but should we let him end the episode? Like, is there any last advice that you can give?
And we need to ask the Jay-Z question.
Yeah, but okay, continue. We'll cut
we already know that they have $500,000, bro.
Wait, I actually want to answer that question.
Let's go. So which one is it?
Okay, so right now it's the money. But I have to say that I think there's a time for everything. And I think it was Alex Hormonzu who said it. Like, there's meeting with someone like Jay-Z when you have multi-million dollars, I think is obviously the right move to do. And even like, let's say like if you have 900,000, $1 million like liquid, I think that's the right thing to do because he'll be able to really provide a lot of value. Yeah. But if you don't, in my opinion, if you don't have the liquid funds to really do much with the information he's going to give you, it's much better to take that $500,000 and go do something with it.
For sure.
Yeah, 100%. But then also some people would agree that if you don't have the knowledge, that 500K, you'll lose it quick.
Yeah.
Thank you.
YouTube.
Yeah, so you have to self-educate.
Self-education, baby. But it's a tricky question. I would take the money.
Yeah, facts.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, any more questions for Anthony?
No, I just want to say one last thing.
Go ahead. Sorry.
We had episode. I'm not sure if it's episode 2, 4, whatever. You network, all people you've been knowing from high school, university, college, your neighbors, and I had the privilege of knowing Anthony over 5 years ago. We reconnected recently, so some of the people who provide you the most insight are people you already met. So try to reach out to those people because you never know how they change, how they improve themselves. Even Sasha and Chris, we've gone back to. So a lot of the people that you've met are the people who can potentially change your life or bring yourself forward. So I think this episode just highlights how with self-development, everybody could change and how you could reconfigure with people and potentially fit better with certain people you already met in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks, guys, for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was very inspiring, motivating podcast. And guys, we will see you next week.
Bye. Yeah, guys, I'm about to go watch some motivational videos. Like I'm about to get back on Audible, about to get back on my podcast.